Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of the Sports Insight with your host Alamdar Khan. And yes, as you know, we give you sports information from all across the globe. You guys can surely reach out to us on our social media handle, which is @Indus News Sports. That works both for Twitter and for Instagram. But anyways, we'll go to the headlines first. And yes, from the world of cricket, 3 England cricketers and 4 staff members tested positive for COVID-19. And yes, now Milwaukee Bucks will meet the Phoenix Suns. They are both going to have the game 1 of the finals. And yes, from the world of Wimbledon, Federer soared past Sonego by 7-5, 6-4 and 6-2 to reach the 18th Wimbledon quarterfinal, while Ogre knocks out the 4th seeder Zverev 6-4, 7-6, 8-6, 3-6, 3-6 and 6-4. And yes, from the world of Formula One, Australian Grand Prix is cancelled for the 2nd successive year due to coronavirus. And yes, from the world of golf, Australia's Lucas Herbert managed to win the Irish Open at the Mount Juliet by 3 shots. And yes, those were the headlines. Not to forget that now Pakistan is there back in England and things are pretty much critical with regards to the coronavirus. Obviously, the Delta variant is right now out, which is obviously a bigger issue for the Pakistan cricket team now. Why? Because they'll have to face England. But 3 individuals from in the England cricket team and four staff members have actually tested positive, which is surely going to be a big blow in terms of their team. And now, obviously, they have changed. They brought in Ben Stokes to captain the replacement team against Pakistan, who are actually touring the country. Not to forget that this fixture had already been delayed for a lot of reasons, but slowly and gradually now the situation is that England team were playing against in generally against Sri Lanka, and after the 3rd ODI they ended up having those tests positive. So the problem is that because of the test being positive, they have also isolated those other team members of the entire team who were performing there. So it is pretty much critical. And with regards to that, obviously the ECB chief, Tom Harrison, actually said that, we've been mindful that the emergence of the Delta variant along with our move away from the stringent enforcement of the biosecure environments could be increased chances of an outbreak. The whole idea is that this variant is now very, very much critical in terms of the situation scenarios there. Pakistan is set to play against England in Cardiff on July 8th. So I think they're trying to make sure that, they keep all those individuals from the England cricket team and the staff members under biosecure bubble, and they just want them to be isolated, not interacting with any other players. And not only that, a few other individuals from the team of the England cricket members were also told to isolate for the fact that, it's too risky for them to bring them out. So let's hope the series go well, because now the entire ECB and obviously they eventually come up with announcing a new team, that new squad actually, that would actually have the tournament with Pakistan. The T20 will start from the 16th of July in Nottingham, and the ECB announced the new squads for the 3 ODIs against Pakistan. So we're actually looking forward for the whole situation to form up in a good state. The problem is this variant is definitely another version of coronavirus, and we hope and we pray that things go in a better shape. Anyways, this was from the world of cricket, and yes, this was supposed to be just told to you guys, but obviously we discussed the world of sports, so we'll quickly jump over to the world of NBA. Yes, talking about NBA, we're talking about finally the finalists out there. There are 2 teams who have actually managed to get there. We're talking about the Suns and the Bucks. But to discuss the in-depth analysis in terms of the world of NBA, we have with us Austin Correll, all the way from US. Austin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Austin, we'll start off with the journey of, the last game that took place, and obviously Bucks managed to get there, and obviously the Hawks could not. So we'll start off with that. What's your take on the last match that actually happened, which made sure that the Bucks are where they are right now in the finals?
Chris Middleton, Bucks guard, came alive in the 3rd quarter and really put the separation in between the Bucks and the Hawks, and he had an excellent quarter. I believe he had over 20 points per game, over 20 points in that quarter, I should say. So he really was the one that drove the stake into the heart of the Hawks.
Right. And if we look back into obviously because this was like the 4th game or the 3rd game without Giannis, right now they've actually reached the final. So what is the current scenario? Will he be missing his fifth game or not? Or are we looking forward for his entry? Because I think right now, in terms of the team itself, I think Bucks are pretty much gelled up. And not only, I remember one game in which all the team members except one actually had scored points more than 20. So I think they're pretty much there right now in terms to get hold of the final and maybe be the next champions.
Well, the Suns are a very different team than anything the Bucks have played thus far in the playoffs. Giannis is listed as doubtful for Game 1, so we shall see. But the odds right now looking to be against him playing. So
Right.
we shall see. But I think this is, with or without him, a very challenging matchup for the Bucks.
Right. And I would also want to ask, because if you look at Hawks, if you look at a few games when they played obviously at home, they were pretty much solid in terms of their performance. But I think they came up to a point, and specifically if you remember the game in which Giannis got injured, was the game where after his injury, Milwaukee Bucks could not even score a single on a very clear three-pointers. They missed a lot of three-pointers. They missed a lot of jumps. I think there was a lot of pressure on them. And on the contrary, the Hawks were literally on fire. So where do you think they went wrong in terms of their strategy and managing to lose against Milwaukee Bucks, obviously in the sixth game, and they never got a chance to even get to the seventh?
Well, I think number one, the Bucks did a really good job of defending in that series.
Right.
PJ Tucker has been an X factor for them, not just in that series, but in the Brooklyn series, and I suspect he'll be an X factor going forward for the Bucks as well.
Right.
The Bucks just defend really well, and when you're a team like the Hawks, where you shoot a ton of threes, you're going to be living and dying by the three, which means that even if you're, even if the personnel on the court for the opponent is favorable, if you're missing your threes, you're going to be in trouble.
Right. And I would also want your take in terms of, we have Phoenix Suns, as you've about it at the start as well. Would definitely want to hear more about it, because, in terms of Devin Booker or Chris Paul, I think they are also a team that, as you mentioned, that the Bucks have not faced yet. So how do you see these two final teams when they interact with each other? How would things develop for either one of them?
Well, the Suns won both regular season meetings against the Bucks by a total of 2 points. So they, there was very closely contested affairs in both games that they played. It's going to come down to the Bucks executing an offense that is sustainable. They have a tendency to sort of get into these lulls where their offense doesn't make a lot of sense. They're not taking advantage of their opportunities on the court with mismatches, and you're just sort of left wondering, what is the end game with this group on the floor. So I think the Bucks have to play a sustainable brand of offensive basketball and have to run their sets that they've learned, that they've built into their system, and they have to trust each other. Whereas with the Suns, the issue then becomes they have a tremendous backcourt duo of Devin Booker and Chris Paul.
Right.
So finding a way to defend those two, and who can you trust to really hold down the fort, and is PJ Tucker going to have the legs and the energy
Right.
to really have an impact against one of those two stars?
I think right now, the ultimate situation, if we look into it, the Suns, obviously, it's their first final appearance since 1993. And I think looking back into, obviously, if we talk about Bucks as well, I think it's been a while that they've reached to the point where they are right now. I think both the teams are looking forward for, a very interesting fight, to be very honest. And I think they will have to devise different strategies. Sometimes they will have to be on the defensive side, and sometimes they may have to be on the offensive side. So what side do you think, or what strategy do you think can be, playful for either one of the teams?
Yeah, well, it's just so difficult because I think the Suns are the most well-rounded team in the NBA. They have a very good combination of big men that have imposed themselves in these playoffs. DeAndre Ayton, they have Chris Paul and Devin Booker,
Right.
very good shot creating guards. They have very good shooting on their wings and guys that don't need the ball a lot to be effective, in Devin Booker and Jay Crowder and Cameron Johnson. So there's no real solution to
Right.
defending the Suns. I don't believe. I mean, you could go with size, but I think they have the tools to counter that. Whereas on the Suns end of the court, I think it plays very favorably if Giannis isn't available, and even if he is, if he's only 50, 60, 50, 60, 70%
Right.
of himself, I still think that's favorable. But if he comes back and he's 100%, he's playing his usual brand of basketball, I don't know who on the Suns is going to be able to stop him. So, there's a lot of elements at play here. But obviously, the Bucks' secret weapon to really having a chance in the series, I believe, of course, is going to be Giannis.
Well, we're surely looking forward for that, because we still need to hear about how he's going to be, or what exactly is his condition right now, because we still don't know. We know for a fact that he's missing the game one. But anyways, I'd want to ask one more interesting question. In terms of the home and away advantage, how much impact do you think that would be putting in both the teams?
I think it's very, very much psychological. I think the Hawks are a team that has proven this postseason that when you're young and you don't know any better,
Right.
you don't really pay attention to the home court advantage. It's only when you're more established and you understand that you're the underdog and you understand that you're on the road, you think about it differently. I don't know that the home court advantage plays too much of a factor. To be completely honest here, I think it just you like to be able to sleep in your own bed the night before, come to your home arena where you have the people on your side,
Right.
and perform. And if you win a game, if you win 1 or 2 games at home to start the series, you're really putting the pressure on the opponent to win at their place.
Right. And I think everybody will definitely be fighting for their life, to be very honest, because the Suns have never won an NBA championship in 53 seasons as a franchise, while the Bucks actually last came into them in 1971. So I think both the teams are actually looking forward to grab that victory. Any updates with regards to will Giannis be back anytime soon, maybe in the game 2 or game 3? Any updates on that?
He's doubtful. It's a knee injury, and knee injuries are very, very fickle. It's going to be about day-to-day basis. How does he feel? How does that knee feel? Is there swelling today? Is there not swelling today? Can you put weight on it? Can you not put weight on it? And there's going to be a day-by-day thing. And he's going to be wearing wraps. I would imagine that if he doesn't play in game 1, they're going to push like heck to get him out for game 2.
Right.
Because if you lose game 2 or you go down 3-0, it's ostensibly a death.
Yeah, I just want to ask one more thing. The first game is in which city? Is it going to be the home court for the Suns or the Bucks?
Phoenix.
Oh, that would be interesting. Well, I'm sure that, I think we have come up to a point of seeing situation scenarios developing. Let's hope Giannis managed to get there. But yes, as you mentioned, in terms of knee injury, I think it's very, very critical. Anyways, Austin, thank you so much for being a part of the show and discussing the world of NBA and the upcoming finals. We're so looking forward for the game 1. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So yes, that was Austin, and obviously he mentioned how things are developing between Bucks and the Suns. I'm sure we all are looking forward for the first game that is going to be tonight. Definitely, I'm looking forward on seeing that, because that would probably be the game changer in terms of the performance. I've told you guys how the situation scenario is developing in the game 1 finals in the world of NBA. Anyways, we'll take a quick break. Once we get back from the break, there is more news coming up your way from the world of sports. See you guys after the break. And welcome back from the break. And yes, before the break, we were discussing the world of NBA and how things are developing there. Not only that, we also discussed how the cricket situation in England is pretty much critical with regards to the coronavirus situation. But anyways, as we discuss all sorts of sports, we'll jump over to the world of tennis. We're talking about Wimbledon, and we're talking about how Federer managed to win against Sonego and managed to reach the quarterfinals. To discuss the in-depth analysis, we have with us Mehrbaan Iranshad, Thank you for joining us. He's a tennis expert. How are you?
I'm doing great, Alamdar. Really a pleasure to be with you.
Great. So we'll be discussing with you, obviously, the situation scenarios in the world of Wimbledon. To begin with, we want to talk about how Federer is now in the quarterfinals, and we'll further talk about the rest of the games that actually took place. A few major upsets, a few major delays. But what's your take on Federer's, as he's right now the oldest man to reach the quarterfinals at the Wimbledon?
Yes, it's really great to see Federer back in form. There's obviously doubts because of his age. I believe he's turning 40 somewhat soon, but he was able to dominate in this match. There was one critical juncture at, I believe, 5-all, where Sonego was serving, and they had to halt play on break point. And then when they came back, Sonego had to, he ended up double faulting on the break point. So. But that notwithstanding, Federer just displayed a great amount of variety, and he's just so comfortable at net. He has great control, and so from there, after that 7-5 set, he was able to pretty much cruise 6-4, 6-2, and Sonego was trying to fire up the crowd, but he just didn't really have his top-class game today. He is dangerous, but Federer, as we all know, is so experienced at Wimbledon, and he just managed to do what Roger Federer usually does, which is prevail, and so he's on to the quarterfinals now.
Right. I hope things go his way because of the fact this whole situation scenario for him, that we've seen Roger Federer at in a very low situation lately, but I think he's trying to make the comeback and we all know we've got big names when it comes to Wimbledon. So how positive do you think his body language is in terms of his performance in this last match?
I think his body language was definitely great. He wasn't challenged too much, so we didn't have to see him face a ton of adversity. But in those moments, he was able to come through, especially in that first set. And then from there, he wasn't challenged too much. So I do think that he's definitely improved in form. We did see him struggle a little bit in the first round against Manarino, but from there, he's generally been pretty comfortable for the most part. So it's great to see him back, and we might see some Federer magic for this tournament. At least this is his best shot, most would say, at winning a Grand Slam. So obviously he has to. He might have to face Novak Djokovic, which will be a tall task for anybody. But he overall is looking good, and we hope to see him continue to play well.
Right. And I would also want to talk about, let's hope things go his way, Roger Federer's way, but obviously we also have Djokovic out there who's ready and who wants that title. I would want to talk about the match that actually was halted due to rain, and I think it has to re-continue as well. So I'm talking about Medvedev's match. So what's your take on that? Because that was pretty much close in terms of, the interactive side. I think they both are head-to-head. So how do you see the Hurkacz and Medvedev's, this match that has been suspended right now? I think it's like the fourth set. So how do you see things developing today? Because it's supposed to reschedule or restart today.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting match. We do have Medvedev up 2-1. He has not been broken in this match. Hurkacz is a big server and managed to serve very well and win that second set in a tie break.
Right.
But clearly Medvedev is the favorite. While Hurkacz has a big serve, big forehand, Medvedev is amazing on the ground, and he has such great running, passing shots. And so he has not, been too troubled on his serve. I believe he's only faced one break point in the entire match and defended against that. So it's definitely going to be tough for Hurkacz to come back and win, but it's anybody's game, and this is a good surface for Hurkacz's game. Right. But that being said, Medvedev is seen by some as the biggest challenger to Novak Djokovic. So most do expect him to move on, but it will be interesting. And, with tennis, you just never know. You can't count anyone out.
Right. We'll surely be looking forward for the match once it continues. It probably will have an ending to it. Would also want to talk about this upset. Obviously, Zverev losing. So what's your take on that particular match? Because I think, every player out there in terms of the world of tennis, they would always want to be out there for this one title, which is Wimbledon.
Yes, it's really a breakthrough for Felix Auger-Aliassime against Zverev. It was very interesting match, very interesting, because we had Zverev go up a break in the first two sets, and then you had Felix come back and win those. And then in the third and fourth sets, Zverev pretty much dominated. And then the fifth set, we had Felix go up a break early, and then Zverev come back to level it. And then Felix was able to actually display some clutch tennis in the end to prevail 6-4. And this was kind of a redemption, because in the Australian Open, Felix was also up 2-0 against Aslan Karatsev, but was not able to close that one out. And we did see, unfortunately, a display of 20 double faults from Alexander Zverev, which is unfortunate, because we've known those issues for a second serve for a couple of years now. Obviously, he's a very talented, great player, the top 5 in the world. But I think his serve was really the main thing that let him down today, because that's clearly a lot of free points that he's giving away. And so he had leads, and it just didn't work out for him today.
Well, I'm sure a lot of fans, when it comes to him, would definitely be sad, and I'm sure he would be sad too, because I think it was surely a thriller of a match. I would also want to talk about Djokovic, obviously, because everybody's got their eyes on him, and he's got his eyes on the title. So how much do you think he's ready?
Yeah, so Novak Djokovic is the clear favorite. He's coming off, just a lot of winning this year, winning the French, obviously, even beating Rafael Nadal. And obviously, this is a different surface, but he's still looking very good. He was not broken this previous match with Christian Garin, who's a talented player, but Garin has had most of his results on clay. Novak's looking great. He broke 5 times, very comfortable, 6-2, 6-4, 6-2 victory against Garin. So we haven't seen too many challenges against him this tournament, and he looks really good. So it's going to be tough, but we've seen before players rip through the draw for 4, 5, 6 matches, and then all of a sudden they might end up dropping the final. So you never know, but Novak is looking very good.
Right. And when do we see the clash of the Titans is the important question. When do we see 2 big names together, having that match?
Yes, well, I mean, I think I think that we might be able to see Federer and Djokovic play against each other. They are looking very good. I think they're looking good to go through to the finals. As Federer is awaiting the match that's going to be completed against Hurkacz and Medvedev. So, we do have some other great matches as well, but I think everybody is looking forward to that Federer and Novak clash, especially with some of the other top players being out, like Thiem and Nadal. So we'll just have to see what pans out.
Surely, Mirban, thank you so much for being a part of the show and discussing the world of Wimbledon with us. Thank you very much.
A pleasure is mine. Thank you so much.
Great. And yes, those were the updates with regards to the world of Wimbledon. And as soon as more things do out, we'll surely be sharing with you guys. Obviously, we share all the news that we get. But anyways, I'll jump over to the world of Formula One. Yes, talking about Formula One, the Australian Grand Prix is cancelled for the second time. And to be very honest, it started from 2020 back then. If you look back into how things were, and right now they were scheduling it in March back then, but they wanted to switch it to November from the 18th to the 21st. But due to the current situation in Australia, and not only that, I think overall across the world, as we know that the Delta variant's out there, it's very tricky for anybody to host such an event. And they've actually cancelled it now. They've decided to cancel it. And in 2020, if you look back into time, yes, the McLaren team member actually contracted the coronavirus shortly after, in fact, before the race. So that's like a tricky thing for them right now, and they just do not want to take risks. I think in terms of Australia, they have been pretty much solid in terms of keeping their grounds, just ensuring that the virus is not contracted or transferred, etc. So let's see how things go for them. And not only that, even the Australian MotoGP is cancelled because it was supposed to be on the 22nd to the 24th of October. It is also cancelled. So I think all the major events are once again coming to the scenarios of the coronavirus situation. So let's hope and pray that things go in a better position. But anyways, I'll quickly jump over and give you guys an update on the world of golf. We'll give you a definite quick update, which is Lucas Herbert actually managed to win the Irish Open at the Mount Juliet by 3 shots, which is super interesting because he held off Karlsberg of Sweden to claim his second European victory. Not only that, the world number 91 posted a 4 under 68 at the wet Mount Juliet. And not to forget, the weather was pretty intense for them, but I think he managed to win that. And Newbert's victory sees him become the 3rd Australian winner of the Irish Open. But anyways, this was pretty much it from the world of sports. If you guys want to reach out to us, you can on our social media handle, which is @Indus News Sports. That works both for Twitter and for Instagram. Till then, take good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.